The following is a presentation of TFNN. Live at TFNN, the Power Trading Hour with your host, David White. Call now, toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044. Now, David White.
And we're back. I guess the question here is, what's going on? I don't know what's going on out here, but we shall find out and get started. Well, I'm doing everything right, so we'll see. It is a wonderful day here at TFNN as we have yet another show with me, your wonderful, small, fuzzy, cuddly, squeezably soft host for another day. Got a lot going on out here. S&P's up at 25 points, 2.1 billion shares. We've got everything but volume. We need to be watching probably about, I'm looking at somewhere around that 2108 area on whether or not we can close above that on the S&P cash. The volume will be light. We should probably head somewhere in the neighborhood of 3.8 to 4.2 billion shares. That we just have 2.1 billion shares shows that we still have a very light market out here. The IWM should have easily been able to hold 123. We're trading out at 122.48. It's still up 75 cents, but you know we're up at these highs, and they tried to push both the Nasdaq and the S&Ps. The Nasdaq a little bit easier to do, but it shows how narrow the leadership has come and become in this market. I see a lot of stocks that are trading up buck and a half on 1/3 the volume. And that's where I'm seeing the most weakness. A lot of these individual stocks that have been weak, that have sold out off after earnings. They continue to run them and tell everybody that it's a quarterly issue, but some of these things are just so ridiculously, you're looking for 2.5 million shares on one that I've got short, and we got 600,000 shares. So it's not like we got a lot of people running in and driving up prices. There are no lines around the block on a lot of these. There's a few stocks, that, of course, that are rocking and rolling. There always are. Even in a bear market, there's always stocks that do better. But we'll have to see how this market closes. But below 2108 would probably be yet another really good sell signal in the S&P. I'm pretty much saying that we've already got them in the NASDAQ and in the IWM. And just, I don't know, if you've got to say commodities, I'm just going to say commodities are nuts. They've broken just about every kind of see if it got anything else there. No. Every kind of signal you think that could be countermanded in commodities has been. Correlation with the dollar, correlation with demand, correlation with everything. They took the book of correlations and thrown it out the window in commodities, and I don't know what else you can say about that. A lot of things just not working the way they should. And I have to say that I'm a little puzzled. Sometimes you have one or two things that don't seem to be matching up with the rest of the market. We've got a ton of things that aren't really matching with the market. The question is just how long with light volume can these markets hold up? And I've seen markets go fairly decently through very light volume at the end of the summer with vapor volume. I'm talking about 500 and 600 million shares between at the end of the day in like 2000, I want to think 2004, late summer, maybe it was 2005. Saw basically about the first week of August, the thing went up a few points every single day on about 500,000 shares. And then, of course, eventually the thing just broke and snapped and everything else. I can't remember the exact time. Markets can go counter trend, but eventually they will. Like a rubber band, you're going to only stretch it so far until it breaks. And The question is, what are people going to want to do as they go into the close here, looking at yet another week of earnings where you have several stocks up 5, 6%, and one or two or three down 10, 12, 15, 18, 20, 25% out there. That has to tell you something, and that is that the big surprises are to the downside. And that tells you one thing out there. And, God bless everybody that got long. I'm looking at a much longer time scale out here. And maybe that is the reason for the difference of opinion, because my belief is that when this market does fail, it won't be something small. It will be huge. It'll be a gap down 50 points in the S&P, maybe down 75 points by the end of the day or something. A 5, 6, 700 point move in the Dow. But can I promise that? The answer is no. I can tell you when the same way hurricanes come, and that is when the water is boiling out there in the Atlantic and a storm comes across it, it's going to pick up the energy. It's probably going to come close. Can't tell you when it's going to hit, but you can tell it's hit. You can tell when conditions aren't right for great hurricanes, and you get a lot of tropical storms. Maybe that's what we had last week, or in this last week. Just a little tropical storm, got a little bit of pullback. What I do know, though, is every time we get up to these higher levels, everything of about 2108 and higher, volume shuts off. It shuts off like someone had a switch and just had a knob and just instantly turned it all the way down to the bottom. I was watching, I think we hit about 2114, and we had about maybe 1.1 billion, 1.2 billion or something. The next hour and a half it took to get another 150 million shares in the NYSE. And that kind of told me that I should probably sit on my hands for a little bit more of the day. Now, could a lot of buyers come in at the end of the day and change my opinion? When the facts change, I will check and change my opinion. Right now, just looks like we're in this trading range. And my guess now is just like all the other trading ranges we saw, like Apple, these things will go up, they'll pop, and then they'll come back down. Apple's up $2 today, 33 million shares. But this may be all you get out of Apple out here. It seems like every time you get the stock up for a little bit, the next day they come back and start selling. So it'll be probably a good indication Monday about what is happening. But it seems like when these markets rally, they become incredibly thin, and the leadership becomes incredibly thin. And, for all the discussion of Apple going to 150 and projections of Amazon to 600 and everything else we've heard this week, all the hooey and hockey and other things, it seems just a little bit far-fetched to think that there's some real big difference happening out here. It's going to run the markets. I think we had kind of a double whammy. The numbers that came out from the government this morning, of course, were a lot different than the ADP numbers. We know in the past that the ADP numbers have been correct, and eventually the government numbers are quietly revised months later. My guess is that's the exact same thing we're going to happen and have happened. 2 was the amazing victory, and we're going to talk about that tonight on the Tom O'Brien show because it fits in with a lot of other things that are going on, and that is the internet being used for propaganda. It was kind of interesting to see that the people that were actually betting on who was going to win the election over there, and guess what? The odds were absolutely correct for the election when people had to put real money on it. But when everything else was going on, they weren't even close. I mean, basically you had the conservatives over there win a huge, huge election. That would probably be like saying that it was a 50-50 race here in the States for, let's say, a state senator. And someone won 60-40. In fact, they're going to have investigations on why everybody was so far off and on the actual elections. And I can probably tell you a little while why, because we saw a nice spike in the pound last night during Andy Heck's show. And that was when they actually said that, yeah, they're going to win and they're going to win big. And at first it was, well, they're just going to win a little bit. They're going to have a big coalition and it'll still be problematic. By the time all the votes were counted, it was a sweeping decision. And all three, I think they have four major parties. The three parties that did not win all fired the heads of their political parties. It was such a disaster. And I think that there is the internet that is playing a big part in the propaganda of what people are thinking. We're going to talk about that tonight. What else is, who's throwing the switch polar? I don't know. But whoever, when this market ever comes up here, you know, we're basically printing 2.1 billion shares now. You know, you like to see some kind of sign of strength. Does that mean the market cannot go higher? Like I said, I've seen a market go higher on 500 million shares for almost 20 days, maybe 15 days. You know, I think it was 20, it had to be 2004, 2005 or 6, somewhere in there. One of these days I'll get the charts out and remember it. But I remember it was just pitiful because it was up 2, 3, 4 S&P points every day. And it would kind of come back to unchanged on the day. By the end of the day, you were up 3, 4 points. And there was just no volume. Eventually it snapped. But that's not uncommon. Back then, before they really started changing the start days for schools, and school start days, especially in New England, were after Labor Day. Now, of course, schools start sometimes in the middle of August, and you just get the kind of weekends. But back then, you'd have everybody on Wall Street take off about the 18th or 15th of August to the Hamptons and not come back until the 1st or 2nd or 3rd of September. And the volume was nil. Everybody had one order. The underlings had one order. Don't let this market or any stock move. And if it does move, let it move up 0.1% every day. We'll be back in 2 weeks. You just make sure this market does not move or go anywhere while I'm on vacation, because I don't want to come back. And they were pretty much able to do that for a series of years. Then, of course, like I said, the school dates changed. And why I can't prove it, I have no scientific study. I saw every year a little bit more of a change as more schools moved to the middle of August. We now see kind of a very light first week in August. But the whole idea of leaving for 7 or 10 days to the Hamptons, I think, is kind of a thing of times gone past. But I do digress. Well, I've gone through this whole segment. We'll be back in a minute. You can always give me a call at 877-927-6648. Email me at path@tfnn.com or post a message in the den.
TFNN is excited about our new software charting program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts. In collaboration with Tom O'Brien and using his best-selling book, The Art of Timing the Trade, Your Ultimate Trading Mastery System, David White has programmed an outstanding piece of software that will complement any trader's methodology. Using this first-of-its-kind program, The Art of Timing the Trade Charts allows you to scan thousands of stocks for Fibonacci formation setups, including Gartley's, ABC's, butterflies, and much more. The Art of Timing the Trade Charts is designed to help you when scouring the markets for stocks just beginning to form the trading patterns that many investors spend days, weeks, or even months searching to find. And right now, we're offering licenses available at only $79 a month. We are so confident that you're going to love this new charting software that will even give you a 30-day unconditional money-back guarantee. Don't miss out on this incredible new piece of software. Get your copy of The Art of Timing the Trade Charts today by visiting TFNN.com.
Tiger TV is an exciting way to experience TFNN programming. See high-definition video, giving you crystal clear charts, as well as seeing some of the faces of TFNN's highly acclaimed financial experts with crisp, full-fidelity sound. Catch Tom O'Brien, John Logan, Steve Rhodes, Basil Chapman, Larry Pesavento, Think or Swim, David White, Andy Hecht, and Daryl Martin in crystal clear, high-definition audio and video. Tiger TV, exclusively at TFNN.com. Platinum, grains, crude oil, gold, copper, cattle, hogs, gasoline, natural gas, coffee, cotton, cocoa, and sugar. These are just some of the commodities mentioned in the most recent issue of Andy Hecht's Techno-Mental Commodity Report. Andy publishes his weekly newsletter every Thursday morning, where he breaks down the commodity market and provides his subscribers with specific trading recommendations based on his trading methodology. By signing up for a free trial to the Techno-Mental Commodity Report, you'll get a full 30 days to try out this powerful newsletter service and see for yourself the types of trades Andy has recommended for his subscribers. When you sign up for a 30-day free trial, you're under no obligation to pay anything. And should you decide to continue, you will lock in the low rate of only $79 a month. Sign up right now for the Techno-Mental Commodity Report and make sure you're ready to catch the next big trade in commodities. For more information and to get started today, visit the front page of TFNN.com.
You've always taken the long view when it comes to investing, but what if there's an opportunity right under your nose? What if you could be more responsive to market trends to seek to boost your portfolio performance right now while seeking to reduce your overall risk? At Direction Funds, we connect investors with alternative strategies that seek to maximize their returns. Smart investors deserve smart alternatives. Find yours at directionfunds.com. An investor should consider the investment objectives, risk charges, and expenses of Direction Funds carefully before investing. The prospectus and summary prospectus contain this and other information about Direction Funds. To obtain a prospectus or summary prospectus, please contact the Direction Funds at 800-851-0511. The prospectus or summary prospectus should be read carefully before investing. Investing in index funds may be more volatile than investing in broadly diversified funds. Distributed by Rafferty Capital Markets, LLC.
Many of our new listeners have heard about the Tiger's Den, but wondered, what exactly is it? The Tiger's Den is a lively community where professional traders and investors can meet, exchange ideas and information in a comfortable, moderated atmosphere. Hear all of your favorite TFNN shows, plus see all the charts as they happen live during those shows, and have access to all those charts. You can test drive the Tiger's Den absolutely free for 30 days. It will greatly enrich your knowledge of these markets. Details on the Tiger's Den are on the front page of TFNN.com. Dave takes your phone calls now. Toll free at 1-877-927-6648. Internationally at 727-445-1044.
Hey, I got a good question from Sean in Hudson. When I'm talking about 2108, am I talking about the like E-mini futures or the S&P? And I rarely, if ever, talk the futures, although I should be clear about it. Normally in my newsletter, I always say the cash S&P. The reason why, it's just too easy to move the ESs with a little bit of juice, and it's darn near impossible to move the S&Ps without actually physically buying something. And so if I'm talking about any kind of technical indicators, I never talk about the ES. I know some people will in here. If you're trading in smaller time frames, maybe that's the right thing to do. In longer time frames, I suspect that the ES has a lot more noise in it than the S&P actual cash, where you actually have to put money into a stock to get actually any movement. Good question. Thanks, Sean from Hudson. A good man and a scholar. What else do we have going on out here? Oh, you know what? We always like to start off with a little bit of history, and I never got there.
That it's all just a little bit of history repeating.
And I forgot to do I was so busy today, I forgot to do my history. But we'll look up my history because I've got it actually here. So we'll figure out what it is. Oh, I clicked on the wrong one. There we go. One higher. and we'll get to it here. Come on, there we go. What do we got going on here? 1866, the soda fountain of Jacob's Pharmacy in Atlanta. St. John Pemberton sells the first glass of Coca-Cola, his new tonic beverage. Its originally popularity may come from partly the fact that it had trace amounts of real cocaine and extract from the American cola or the African cola nut, which is a stimulant and a thirst quencher. Coca-Cola this day in 1886. What else did we have going on out here? Anything else? I think that's probably it for the news out there. Like I said, I got busy watching the markets with all the action out here. Didn't spend a lot of time on getting a lot of news stories, snooze stories, but we will be watching. Wanted to go back out here and look at some of these. Probably the most notable is the IWM. This thing should have been able to take off like a rocket today if it was following the general markets. It came up today, but all you got to do is take a look at these volumes out here, and you see basically the same thing as this thing went sideways from the 17th to the 24th, and that is what, 14 million, 18 million, 21 million, 13, 24 million. Basically came down on fairly decent volume on the 17th. That was 48 million. Today, 15 million shares so far. So let's say you're going to do 20 million shares. This is yet another pop out here without a lot of juice. And my guess is that you need to go back and retest somewhere in that 120, 50, 120, 75 range before this thing would have any kind of signal that it had made even a temporary bottom. And with that volume back on that date, you can also make a case that this thing is setting up kind of a mini ABC down. These stocks, when you look at them, especially in the Russell, are just horrifically bad. The bounces are pitiful. The volume is horrific today. Now, maybe you've got a big, long and strong stock, well, in the S&P, maybe a little bit different out here, but there is absolutely no love unless you got some market cap. And, of course, these companies are pretty much not big market cap swingers out here, which tends to make you believe that this market has very thin leadership, i.e. probably the top 200 stocks in the S&P 500, the Dow, that we are looking at the NASDAQ below 5,000, I think. What do we got out here? Yeah, just a tick below, but that we couldn't hold the NASDAQ high out here of 5,000, I think, is also a little troubling. You could probably make a case that it's up 50 points, and so it doesn't keep 5,000. But to me, you continue to see the S&P kind of tick down and tick down. Little or no volume out here. It's probably going to be the close that tells us a great deal about what's going on. As always, you can call me at 877-927-6648. And you can email me at path@tfnn.com and post a message in the DM.
The Path of Least Resistance is David White's daily trading newsletter, and if you're looking for active trading ideas, then now's a perfect time for a 30-day free trial to this powerful daily trading advisory service. David uses his years of trading experience to offer his subscribers his trading ideas each morning in his Path of Least Resistance newsletter. Using a combination of equity trades along with options, David keeps his subscribers up to date with all pertinent market information with intraday afternoon updates when warranted. Don't miss out on this great chance to get a 30-day free trial to David's daily newsletter, The Path of Least Resistance, with no obligation to pay anything. David has been delivering solid recommendations for his subscribers recently, and if you'd like to see the type of newsletter he delivers every morning, then visit the front page of TFNN and you'll find The Path of Least Resistance under Trading Newsletters. For all the details and to start your 30-day free trial today, log on to TFNN.com now. Has the current market volatility continued to stop you out of trades when the market spikes against you? Now is the perfect time to open up an account with Nadex. Nadex, the North American Derivatives Exchange, is a brand new, completely regulated Chicago-based exchange, and unlike most other exchanges, Nadex allows you to trade directly through them with direct market access when using their completely free trading platform, which also features real-time charts and full customization capability. One of the advantages of trading with Nadex in volatile markets is that your risk is always capped and you have the ability of keeping your trades open even when the market spikes against you. Nadex is completely brand new with a line of unique trading products that are unavailable anywhere else. See how it works at nadex.com. That's NADEX.com. Or click on the Nadex banner on the front page of TFNN.com. Futures and options trading involves risk and may not be appropriate for all investors.
If you're an active trader looking for that extra edge when it comes to trading and investments, then now is a great time to get a 2-week free trial to Tom O'Brien's daily market letter, Market Insights. Tom O'Brien's daily newsletter, Market Insights, comes out every market day at around 9:30 a.m. and provides Tom's daily commentary on the broad market, including the Dow, NASDAQ, and S&P, plus specific trade recommendations. There's even an update published most afternoons to keep you informed about the day's market activity. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock and option trade. With Market Insights, there's nothing left to guessing. For all the details and to get your 2-week free trial to Market Insights started today, visit TFNN.com.
If you're like me, you see the world's emerging nations as a very real opportunity, as these countries and their economies are developing right before our eyes. And you can rest assured that Everbank has spotted this opportunity too. In fact, they just recently unveiled the new 5-year market-safe Future Economy CD. This is a CD that could really deliver, but you only have until May 7th to take advantage. Consider the facts. If the Future Economy's currencies beat the US dollar over the CD term, you'll get all the upside. And should they lose? No worries. There's zero downside risk here, as you still get back 100% of your deposited principal. Intrigued yet? The May 7th funding deadline is quickly approaching. So hurry over to everbank.com/TFNN-CD for more information, including important product details and disclosures. Once again, that's everbank.com/TFNN-CD. Everbank is an equal housing lender and member FDIC.
This segment is brought to you by Think or Swim. For more information, just click the Think or Swim banner on the front page of TFNN.com.
2112 on the S&P cash, 2.2 billion shares volume, very low for the last few hours. Looked like they marked it up for lunchtime, and those lunchtime buyers up to 2118 on the S&P cash. But volume again, we get about 2108 on the cash, and the volume shuts off. And who knows why? It just does. So it looks to me more options continue to show an expiration next Friday around 2080 on the S&P cash. And I don't see any reason to continue to doubt that. Maybe we are just range bound for a while, but certainly there's no volume to really make you think a lot of heavy duty buy-ins going to be going on anytime soon. Salesforce.com. I have to say this.
I informed you thusly.
I did. I informed you thusly. And I did so by saying that there was no way Microsoft was buying Salesforce. And, of course, this morning we saw a nice little doodad out from Microsoft saying that we have no intention of buying them and we're not going any farther. People should know that how many of these times there's a variety of reasons for companies to talk to each other. But most likely, and a lot of times, it's a chance to look at the books, the real books, not the ones that they show Wall Street, the real books that are behind what's going on in a company. And I don't know that's what this was, but it happens a great deal. Yeah, I'd like to buy your company. Let's take a look. And you get digging into their books and you find out what they're doing and who their customers are. And really the man behind the curtain in a company. That may be part of it, but kind of tough to say. But one thing I was going to tell you was they weren't spending $60 billion for Salesforce. Basically, Microsoft was not going to throw all their cash at one single buy in this marketplace. And the buys in the past that Microsoft have done really never paid off that well. Skype at $8.5 billion. Some of these other ones, especially the characters difference between Microsoft and Salesforce. I think there's an ocean between these two companies and the culture, let's put it that way. Microsoft is less show and all go, and Salesforce is big on the hype trail. You may not see it a lot, but at least in their industry, much more, a lot of talk, a lot of bluster. And I think that culture is not anywhere close to what Microsoft's culture is. Anyway, other stocks of interest moving out here today as I keep an eye on the ticker on one hand and the volume, which is crawling. Oh, boy, like watching paint dry yet again. Other things going on out here. ALU, as we start taking off what was this one about? I had it in here for some reason. Upgraded to buy, and a nice little pop out here. This has filled its gap down that had some decent volume. This is Alcatel-Lucent, and I think probably a little bit of this pop, of course, is the fact that England is doing a little bit better. But the thing came down on pretty decent volume of 27 million shares on the 30th of April, and we're up today, filling that gap with 11 million shares. Do I need to say more? Other things, Broadridge Financial Solutions, not real familiar with this one, had a little gap. That gap came with some decent volume with 825,000 shares. We're down on 1.2 million shares so far. What's the BR on this guy? What's the story? Missed Q3 estimates by a nickel. Missed on revenues, guided down. Ooh. That's all we need to know about that one. CERN, C-E-R-N, reported inline, missed on revs though, down on fairly decent volume, already past 6 million shares. That opens up probably this gap at about 63 bucks, especially with the kind of volume you have here today. There's maybe a little trend line that you can draw up about 66 bucks. This thing's probably hanging on now. And that goes back to a big congestion zone that goes from December 8th of last year to January 27th of this year. When it did break that congestion zone, it did on 2 million shares on the 12th of February, and we're back through that today with 6.1 million shares. I think that tells you everything you need to know about that one. Data, I told you this was one of the companies that was in the hot rocket part of the business out here, and that is anybody doing a data mining. Big volume. Basically, this is the second big gap out in this company, and you might expect a third. Even if the market pulls back, this one probably is going to be one of the strongest markets out here, and you could look for one more gap up before this thing finishes out. But, you know, last gap come up on earnings on almost 5 million shares. You got 4.2 million shares today. So it looks like it's going to be it. And, of course, data mining is where it's at. Huntington Ingalls, not doing so well today, having a bad hair day. Downgraded to market perform and off about 4% today. This thing looks like it's headed back to about 110. That's where this thing had a little gap up and came back and tested it. What is that, January 15th of this year and January 5th, right in that time frame there. But I would say we're headed back to there. Monster Energy drink, Needed probably a few more sips of caffeine. This thing is coming back with volume through its gap down. And that gap came on 6.2 million shares. We're through it with 8.2 million shares. Boom, boom, out goes the lights. That's all you got to say about a good long-term high in that stock, at least for a while. Molina Healthcare, this one is up on a nice bounce. Reported earnings of 71 cents a share, excluding non-recurring items, 22 cents better than Capital IQ estimates, 49 cents. Revenues rose 53% year over year, and it's up like a rocket. Hasn't gone up to its high, kind of interestingly, but my guess is that it's using a great deal of the energy here. What you would have really loved is this thing to come down and fill this huge sign of strength on February 10th, about halfway. Never got there at 53 to get some decent risk reward. NVIDIA down a bit out here. One of these stocks that never found its dancing partner. It really needed to be sold to somebody, and down on very heavy volume today. Not a huge mover. I'm very familiar with their video cards. Problem is that the business they're in really is better handled by Qualcomm and Samsung and Intel. And I'm just wondering when this thing really takes a hard break. This doesn't seem like there's a whole lot there left. They really need to be bought out by another company. And I'm not exactly sure why someone would buy them out now. Most everybody's found another way to get around that issue. The Royal Bank of Scotland, of course, nice pop here on what's happening in the UK. Volume is good. There's no problem with this compared to the April 28th high that had 580,000 shares. Already have 1.1 million out here today. And the only thing that you've got is a high volume low. It went lower than the March 31st low. Did so with twice the volume, and that basically sets up a nice trading range here of about $1 in the Royal Bank of Scotland. Sprouts Farmers Markets, SFM. There was a great article out today, and I was going to put it in the news. I just didn't have time to track it down and find it. But we talked maybe 2 weeks ago about how the advertising was an advertising council gig, and said how millennials have no money. That both, I think if I Google it, I think maybe I can find it. WFM. I think it was actually WFM talking about opening up stores with maybe high quality foods that at half the price, that maybe discount Whole Foods. And this basically came to find out that, yeah, it was WFM, that they're basically figuring out millennials have no money, that if they're going to spend it on something, it's going out clubbing, apparently. It's not buying super expensive foods, and all their advertisement to chase those folks down is problematic. But that kind of confirms exactly what what was it? Was it 10 days ago? Yeah, hard to write any paycheck if they have no paycheck. But it looks like they're going to try to get maybe a slightly higher ended grocery store for hipsters out there and their beards. Never can tell. SYT. This had a buyout offer that they turned down, but a huge gap up here today, up to $87.57. And I think they turned the offer down 15 milliseconds after they got the offer. It happened almost instantly this morning or last night. I forget about what it was. But nice pop up. And, of course, at the highs, not beyond the scope of reason that everybody wants to buy another company at the top. Hopefully they're not using cash. Hopefully they're using their own shares, and it's apples to apples. The stupidest thing you could be doing is waiting until you get to market highs and then buying a company out using cash. Good for the acquiree, horrible for the acquirer. Triumph Group out here, nice big pop. Volume's okay. Has not broken the previous high of April 8th that it looks like it's going after at $66.50. 1.8 million shares. You got 1.6 million shares today. You haven't hit that high either, so look for that Monday, $66.50 on the Triumph Group. I went through a great deal of these pretty quick. Guess I probably have not been in a lot of stocks. Wanted to see how some of these other ones had done. Looks to me like some of these in the commodity sector are very, 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 very interesting. Bunge Limited, this thing is now giving me kind of a green light out here to say that this thing is probably in a very sweet part to maybe short, maybe in a day or two. I'm going to watch this thing. But it has finally filled this huge gap down that had monstrous volume of 5.8 million shares with 2.1 million shares. That was yesterday. Today, Vapor, 500,000 shares. And this is what I'm talking about, where the volume you get up here, everybody goes, okay, show me, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. And guess what? There's nothing out there to show. Bunge Limited, of course, makes a lot of these and bought out a lot of those big dragline cranes for coal and stuff. And, of course, just when everybody got out of it. So they make all these big machines, and maybe it's coming back. I don't think so. My guess is this is maybe just kind of a pop back up. And you probably have a nice trading range here between $79 and $90. So $10 trading range in Bunge. CNK. Is that the wrong Bunge? BG, let's go back to it. I may have said that. Is this in, I thought this is the wrong, is this the wrong Bunge? Let me make sure. Someone in the den is saying I may have made a mistake. Agribusiness, yeah, and food company worldwide operates 5 segments: agribusiness, edible, milling products, sugar, bioenergy. But they had equipment that they sold off. I think this is the same company. It's just that they are now out of that dragline business, if I'm not mistaken. But yes, it is in the agricultural business, not in the coal dragging business. So thanks for the heads up. Food company worldwide operates 5 segments: agribusiness, edible products, milling products, sugar, and bioenergy, and fertilizer. Yeah, I was pretty sure that they used to have those drag lines, and they sold them off. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of, that they were in the, taking huge hunks of phosphates out here, which is actually a big deal in Florida. In fact, my racing partner's wife is in that business. They just changed their name because they're getting out of just doing phosphates, doing a bunch more. Thanks for the heads up on that. Cinemark Holdings. When we look at this, nice gap fill out here. And the only thing you'd like to say is, well, it did everything you wanted to do. Nice gap up on the 18th of February with 2 million shares. It came back, filled it with 1.3 million shares yesterday. I like to see a little bit more out here on this one. But one of the better looking stocks, if you wanted to go out there and do some bottom fishing, Diageo, DEO, which is, of course, the big distributor of alcohol products, adult beverages. And a nice pop-up on this, even some decent volume over the last few days. Just don't like that higher volume low from yesterday. We'll be back and zip through a bunch of other stocks.
Trade with confidence and clarity while using the software that thousands of institutional traders rely on to make the best and most accurate decisions. Choose from 1,000 equities, currencies, and futures instruments utilizing the TAS architecture. As seen on Bloomberg terminals worldwide, the TAS Profile Scanner is a benchmark technical filtering system that thousands of traders rely on, and now you can too. For a limited time for TFNN subscribers only, we've reduced the price to just $97. That's over 75% off. John Logan hosted a special subscriber-only webinar in December, and you'll gain access to that archive as well, so you can learn exactly what the TAS Profile Scanner can do for you. Try this product out. No matter what you trade, the TAS Profile Scanner can help you make more informed trading decisions. There's no obligation to pay anything. Don't let this offer pass you by. Get your 30-day free trial to the TAS Profile Scanner today by signing up at TFNN.com.
Tom O'Brien's weekly gold letter, The Gold Report, gives complete and concise coverage of the entire gold market. Inside, you'll get Tom's commentary on gold, the dollar, the rand, the bond, the XAU, the HUI, and detailed coverage of nearly 25 mining stocks. He'll give you the entry price, price target, and stop price of each stock trade. The Gold Report is a long-term newsletter where the focus is on building real wealth through the management of a successful portfolio of gold stocks. With a lifetime of knowledge and almost 12 years of writing his informative weekly newsletter, The Gold Report, Tom O'Brien can provide you with the important market information to help you make better trades in the gold market. Don't let the next bull run in gold pass you by. To get a month-long free trial to The Gold Report, an $85 value, visit the front page of TFNN.com today.
David White's newsletter, The Technology Insider, is focused like a laser on finding the next big things in technology. If you had invested only $10,000 in Microsoft in 1986, you'd have been a millionaire by 2000. Disruptive technology like Microsoft's is the key to these massive long-term profits, and the Tech Insider is the vehicle from TFNN to capitalize on these opportunities. This is the go-to newsletter that identifies, monitors, and profits on mostly little-known cutting-edge companies with great long-term prospects. David's experience is as an inventor of Emmy-winning animation products for TV and Hollywood that propelled a company public. Match that with 14 years as a full-time trader, and he's uniquely qualified to guide you through the light-speed world of ever-evolving high-tech. If you're ready to ride the next big technology bull market for less than $40 per month, log on to TFNN.com and get your 2-week free trial to the Technology Insider. Get in on the ground floor of the next big thing today.
Do you know the 7 most critical factors that influence every decision you make, and how not knowing these will jeopardize the health, the wealth, and the relationships you deserve? I'm Steve Rhodes, morning host at TFNN.com, and for the last quarter of a century, I've studied and used the secrets of human growth, the same formulas used by leaders of nations, billionaires and millionaires, and the most successful athletes on the planet. Would you like to break through any obstacle that gets in between you and the success you deserve? Would you like to turn fear into strength? If you could find a way to achieve, be fulfilled, and live a life of meaning, wouldn't you want to know the answer? I'll teach you the factors that control your state of mind and the drivers that impact every thought, emotion, behavior, and action we take in my new webinar, The Psychology of Trading. Join me for this 2-part online event where I'll unveil the secrets to human pattern recognition, because they're not what you think. And soon, you'll have the health, the wealth, and the relationships you deserve. Just go to the homepage of TFNN.com and click on The Psychology of Trading to begin your journey now.
Catch Tom O'Brien, professional trader and educator, founder of TFNN. Also, a special guest on CNBC. Tom will bisect and dissect the markets. The Tom O'Brien Show, next on TFNN.
And we're going to look through a few of these stocks out here and see if anything's going on. Valco Energy, EGY. This one could be making a nice little low out here. Certainly looks like it's trying to. Got to 201 today with 1.4 million shares compared to the previous big volume low back at 212 that came in with 5.3 million shares. So I'm kind of watching this one. This thing was $6 not that long ago. Could you get a nice short covering rally back up to $3? I think so if you had the right catalyst out here. And I'm going to look at that one over the weekend and start finding out what's going on. Herbalife, it's bouncing around these highs. Even with all the juice from earnings, it had 8 million shares compared to the 11 million share high on March 23rd. Yesterday, 2.5 million shares. Today, 1 million shares. Again, this thing's kind of tight and range bound, and maybe a $10 trading range based on where the shorts can be squeezed and where the shorts can push this thing back down. But it's an all-out grudge match war. Omnicare stock up here with a very light volume going up against the $90.84 high from April 22nd. Again, 7.2 million shares. And when you go through the last 4 days, 2.2 million shares, 1.2 million shares, 1.2 million shares. Today, 928,000 shares. So maybe we get back up there. But a lot of these stocks up here whiffing, if you want to call it that. Whole Foods, Hall Paychecks. Like I said, this thing actually didn't talk about it, but it has come back to its gap. And at least in a Wyckoff style trading platform, you would think that this gap up of November 6th of 2014 that happened on 27.5 million shares would have been a good one if you didn't have basically that many yesterday with 31 million shares and swamp it out. So that pop yesterday basically blew out that previous low. And I don't know what else you have to say. That's a huge amount of overhead resistance in Whole Foods because every dime up, you're going to find somebody, a bag holder wanting to get rid of that. But that Whole Foods market, kind of a microcosm of what I think our market or the broad markets are doing up here. And, you know, they're basically making some very light volume moves up to the top, and we're probably getting ready to see the right shoulder on the indexes. I think we've already seen the right shoulder on many of many stocks, like in the IWM and probably in the NASDAQ over here, maybe with something like Apple moving off to the side. But I'm looking at this market, and I don't see anything that really tells me to fear much higher prices. Doesn't mean that we're going to drop like a rock on Monday, but I don't see a great deal out here that tells me anything else is going on. What else do we have? We got about a minute to go. Wanted to wish everybody a nice weekend out here. I'm going to be on the Tom O'Brien Show in the 4 o'clock hour. We got a lot of things to talk about, very interesting things. A little bit deeper out here. I've got some insight into Tesla. And basically, if you listen to this show earlier in this week, I gave some numbers that were kind of the back of the envelope numbers. And basically, they're not even that good. Bloomberg's done some work, and I went through it on what they've done. And we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also talk about the words that I hate the most in technology, total addressable market, and why you should run when you hear them. Anyway, we'll talk about that and more in the Tom O'Brien Show. In the meantime, sell when you can, not when you have to. And we'll see you Monday for the Power Trading Hour. Same bat channel, same bat time.
You know what's cool? Taking something that's good for you. Something specifically formulated to help with weight loss, better sleep, stress reduction, and the need to detox.
Nico, our hunter and gatherer ancestors found all their nutritional requirements for health in their wild environment. But today, our food sources no longer contain the vitamins, minerals, and nutrients our bodies need to stay healthy and strong.
That's why we need Primal Edge Daily Nutrition. It includes a special blend of ionic, soil-based vitamins, minerals, fatty, and amino acids in an easy-to-use liquid form.
Primal Edge is powered by highly concentrated fulvic and humic acids, nature's preferred delivery system. They have been called miracle molecules because, like sunlight, air, and water, life cannot exist without them.
That's right, Paige. They ensure we receive all the nutrition we need to be healthy and thrive. We take it every morning.
Primal Edge, formulated and approved by Nico and Paige of Living a Primal Lifestyle. Buy it today for just $89. Click on the Primal Edge banner on the front page of TFNN.com. You're watching Tiger TV.